Hi everyone, and welcome to She Rides, a podcast where women's cycling takes lead. I'm Saar, your host for today, and today I have a guest with me who will talk about all the latest racing and so much more. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 70 of She Rides. We're in the week between the true Flemish classics and the Ardennes. We're a bit of in transition. So what's better than to actually have a climber with us today? Hi Nadia.
Hello.
Hi. Super nice to have you on. Normally, since you've listened, you would know I would ask you, can you introduce yourself? But I happen to have a little clip of some months ago where actually another writer already introduced you. So maybe we can listen to that first, and then you can say how accurate it is. Then we have Nadia Gontova from Winspace to Liv-AlUla-Jayco.
She's my new friend after the tour. She also was at the back quite a lot, but is super strong. So often we move up together, and then it turns out she lives in Girona. So she even taught me to knit after I hurt myself. Then she gave me a new hobby. And she would not say where she was going. She was so good about keeping it a secret. I went for a ride with her, and then she taught me to knit, and she came to visit me in hospital. So yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time, and I have to say that girl is good at keeping a secret. So I knew she was going to a world tour team, but I didn't know where, and I was happy when I saw she's going to become an honorary Australian. So yeah, she's so strong. You wait and see. She will smash it next year.
So that was an introduction by Sarah Gigante. So after that, of course, we needed to have you in the podcast. So how accurate is Sarah's introduction?
Yes, I mean, I think she got all the main points. Yeah, very nice of her to say these things about me. But yeah, super actually cool to even hear her talk about me like this. Like I think we're good friends in Girona, but also like as a rider, I'm like such a fan of her. So every time I ride with her, it's like a bit of a fangirl. So yeah, super cool that she did that.
Yeah, that's nice. So friendships. At the back of the peloton, it all started there. You don't hear it much. So how did it happen? Just like one day in the back of the peloton in Tour de France, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe, we would see each other moving up, like, once it starts getting hard and, like, I know she's, like, a wheel to follow on the climb, and then I think there was one stage where, I guess I did a big effort up the side of the peloton, kind of going into an important moment, and, I think she, like, followed me, and I didn't even, like, mentally take note of it, but then the stage finished, and she, like, comes up to me, and she's like, "Oh my god, thank you so much," and I'm like, "Sorry, like, what?" Like, I was like, "For what?" And she's like, "Wow, you're so strong, like, thank you," and I kind of, like I didn't know for what, and I was like, "Okay," like, she's talking to me, like, this is pretty cool, like, and then later we rode, and yeah, apparently I just, like, did a big effort and moved her up, so, yes, that was the start of our friendship, and hopefully um, won't be at the back of the peloton anymore, but yeah.
Yeah, would be a good one to now make it a front of the peloton friendship.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
always
Yeah, that's the
nice.
goal.
Yeah, always nice to hear like kind of these stories. Oh. So Sarah also mentioned you knit. So why do you think knitting is like a perfect hobby for a cyclist, or it isn't? Could also be the case.
Yeah, I think it is the perfect hobby. I've knit, like, a little bit my whole life, and then once I, like, got more serious into cycling, I really got into knitting and making clothes, and I'm wearing a vest that I knit, this one.
Mhm.
Um, so I think there's just a lot of, like, travel time and a lot of, like, downtime between races, and I find knitting, like, pretty relaxing, and, sometimes, like, having a long travel day is like, "Oh, this day is wasted," but then I feel like if I spend it knitting, it kind of, like, feels productive and, like, I have a little project going on.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I think it definitely passes the travel time, and then also at races, I think it's better than, like, looking at my phone all day, like, it's a bit, like, relaxing before bed, and just kinda, like, turn my mind off and stuff, and then,
Mhm.
yeah, also get nice sweaters that I love out of it, which is another bonus.
Yeah, nice. Are you working on a project right now?
Um, yeah, I'm working on, another sweater in burgundy, which
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
I have just the sleeves left, but it's getting pretty warm in Girona, so I think I'll have to wait until next winter to wear it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. So, apart from knitting, what does your life look like when you're not on the bike and you still have any time left?
Yeah, I mean, I like to knit and I enjoy, like, cooking and, um, trying new things, and then I'm also, currently in school a bit on the side, whatever I can manage. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science, and then I kind of wanted to keep at it a bit and try to not forget everything, so I'm doing a master's in data science that's fully online, so it's, like, pretty ideal to balance with training and racing.
Yeah, that's nice. So, we've already like skipped a big part because we straight went to you announcing to which World Tour team you would be going. But of course, you started somewhere. So, how did Nadia Gontova start her pathway to the pro peloton?
Yeah, I think my path is maybe a bit different to the path a lot of people take. I started cycling pretty late. I started in university when I was 20, during the pandemic, and I was on the rowing team at my university. And then when COVID happened and we couldn't train anymore, and I guess I was looking for ways to stay in shape, and I tried running, but it wasn't really for me. And then a lot of my teammates were uh had road bikes, and I saw them on Strava, like, posting their road rides, and I had, like, a commuter bike, so I, like, drove that out to the bike path and, like, started, just, like, yeah, riding my, like, commuter bike on the bike path just to, like, stay in shape, and I really loved it, and then yeah, so it eventually, like, progressed, and I got a nicer bike, and then I went back to rowing for a year, but I think at that point I was really set on cycling. I just found so much joy in, like, riding my bike, and then from there I started racing and started doing the local races and just kinda learning, and then I joined a team that did some bigger national races, and then, um, I did those and kinda, like, slowly learned that level a bit, um and then I joined a continental team in the US, which did a couple races in Europe, in 2024. So, I think that was kinda my first taste of racing in Europe, and it was super crazy and, like, just so hard, and, um, yeah, it was really a shock, but I also really loved it, and I love the challenge, so then, um, I was lucky to have an offer last year from Winspace, which was my first full season of racing in Europe, and, um yeah, and then from there to go to the world tour is just I guess, like, the trajectory has just, like, really been a dream come true for me. Maybe a dream that I didn't know that I had until recently, but, it really has been a dream come true to be here.
Yeah, that's so nice. And then so as you mentioned, so you started more like at the national level than a continental US team. Do you think it's harder for yeah, a non-European rider to actually make it to the world tour?
Yeah, I think it's really hard, and, um, I think for me, I I didn't even know the world tour really existed, like, I feel like it's not such a popular sport, and yeah, it's like I didn't understand how professional cycling works, and there's not a super clear pathway, I think, especially if someone's a bit older, and I think it's really could be hard to, like, find a path, and I feel like in my case, in a lot of ways, I got really lucky, like, I think I worked hard, but also I think I got really lucky with, like, the opportunities that came my way when they did, and that just kinda things worked out, but now if I think about it, like, if I think about, ways that people can make it to Europe and not have to, have their parents, like, pay their rent in Girona and, like, spend so much money, it's just, like, there's not so many opportunities, I think. to make it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you said you've been very lucky, but you've also been having some iliac artery issues. How has that been? Like the way to the diagnosis, yeah, then the actual surgery and the comeback.
Yeah, I think my case was a little bit, maybe atypical where I, um, like, once I started feeling the symptoms, like, once I started noticing something was
Mm-hmm.
wrong, it just, like, went really fast, and it was, like, pretty advanced and, like, severe at that point. Um, so I think maybe in hindsight, like, starting at the start of the year, I kinda had a bit of a slow decline, and then but I was still doing the best numbers ever, like, I got
Mm-hmm.
the best results, like, I was super happy with my season. Um, and then I think I started kind of noticing a more reoccurring issue, in the weeks leading up to the tour, and then the tour was really, like, when it was just, like, every day, and it was like clockwork that I was, like, having this problem with my left leg, and it's just, like, the climb starts, and I know in, like, a couple minutes I'm gonna, have this, like, pain and, like, cramping, and it's always the same leg, always the same feeling. So that's, I think, when I was like, "This is not right." It's, like, every day, and it's, like, 9 days. And then at the same time, I was seeing Maggie, fellow Canadian, I know she's been on this
Mm-hmm.
podcast, was posting about kinda, like, her experience, and I was seeing this and I was like, I think, like, maybe this is what I have, and then everyone's like, "There's no way, it's, like, not possible, like, you're doing well," and I was like, I feel like I could still, like, perform, but I was just, like, really, in pain.
Mm-hmm.
And then after the tour, I took some rest and then tried to, like, start training again, and it was just, like, not possible, like, I couldn't finish anything, like, I couldn't complete any workout, um, and it just really got bad pretty fast, but luckily I was able to get connected to the right people pretty quickly, and start talking to, yeah, surgeons about where I could do a test and, working with a really great physio in Girona on, if there's any non-surgical things that could make it better. So yeah, I think to me it would kind of worked out well where, I think the period of like when I got the diagnosis to the surgery and like to symptoms, like it went pretty fast, which I know for a lot of people can be a big challenge. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still a bit shit of a problem to have.
Yeah, for sure. And so you've been doing some races already this year. So how has it been going being back in the peloton?
Yeah, I mean, my first race, I was supposed to start the season with Flesh and Liège. So, and I started racing in February, so it's really been a big bonus to like start racing so far ahead of schedule. Um, Although I think fitness-wise, I haven't really quite had the level, and then I got a couple more call-ins and a bit of sickness, so I think just, yeah, finding the fitness has been a bit hard, but, Jayco has been, like, so understanding, and they've given me, like, jobs that, I can do even when I'm not at 100%, and, yeah, I think it's, like, super positive to not have to wait until April to start my season and to start it on time, and, um yeah, even though it's, like, a bit up and down in terms of performance, but, now I had a altitude camp, and, I feel like I'm hoping this was, like, the missing piece fitness-wise, and, so, yeah, I'm looking forward to the Ardennes, and I set an all-time 10-minute power best last week, so now I'm hoping that, like, the fitness is gonna be there and, like, yeah, I can finally, like, be back to 100%.
Yeah, let's hope. Would be great. So yeah, you mentioned first year in the World Tour, first year at Liv-AlUla-Jayco. So what drew you to the team when signing?
Yeah, I think just like the speaking to the team, like I think the culture seemed like something that really appealed to me. So what drew me to Liverpool Jayco?
Yeah.
Um yeah, so I think the culture just it seemed like really positive and um it seems like I guess they take performance seriously, but it to me it seems like, it's not like so serious and I think to me, like, having fun is really important and just enjoying it, and I think I kinda, like, progressed the way I did, by just like doing what I love and having fun. So I want to really like keep that alive. And I felt like this is a team where I can do it. And I think also the team being Australian is, I mean, I guess it's pretty different to Canada, but in a lot of ways it's similar where the Australians have the same kind of struggles and they're far from home and they also like come into the European peloton like, you know, not having grown up racing in Europe. So I think yeah, I just think there's a lot of similarities to um like Australians and North Americans who come over here and race. So I feel like that also culturally made a lot of sense to me. And it's also just yeah, a super strong team and a good squad for the climbing races, which I think is something that's really nice to be a part of, is just a part of a strong climbing team.
Yeah, that's nice. How's it been so far? The extra races you've added.
Yeah, yeah, they've been good. I think maybe like it's hard to not feel a little bit disappointed fitness wise, even if I know that I'm not going in at 100%, but it's still, I think just every race is I finish like feeling just a bit disappointed that, you know, I can't be at the level that I know I could be at. And I think I've never not had the level physically like that before, so it's just, like, it's been a bit hard, but, it's been super nice to be able to do a job for the team, and the strategy is, you know, a lot more organized and detailed than what I've had in the past, so, I've really enjoyed being able to, like, focus on doing a role for the team, and doing my best at doing that, and I think just racing with the World Tour team, I've really learned so much in just the few races I've done. So I'm just really looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, was just gonna ask you how big is the difference and what are the differences if you compare it to what you've experienced at previous team now being a part of a World Tour squad?
Yeah, um I mean, I think Winspace, they really did what they could with their budget and like the staff was great and we had everything we need. But I think in a world tour team is just like the level of support is just like something different and it's been like yeah pretty like surprising just to see like how much like resources and how much support we have and you know like the chefs like the food the amount of kit we get is just like I was kind of like blown away a bit yeah and I feel so lucky to have so much support from the team in that sense and then I think also in racing is just a really different way of racing like at the bigger races where we do have such a strong team and we have, you know, people who can like contend to get really big results in like these big world tour races where being on a smaller team it's often a matter of like, oh, just like hang on, like just like try to follow the wheels, like don't get dropped and you know, that's kind of enough. And then it's like you get a top 20 and it's like nice, like that's a good day. But then on a world tour team is like no, it's like you know, it's just totally different where it's like a full like team effort to, you know, go for like a really big result, like a podium. And it's just a different way of racing with bigger goals.
Yeah, that's nice. We're just gonna go back to last year for a minute. So due to that iliac artery, of course you had to miss the worlds with your fellow Canadian taking the world title. How did it feel to not be there and just be watching it on TV?
Yeah, I mean, I it would have been my first time representing Canada, so I really, really wanted to go to Worlds. And like even after like things kind of started getting bad after the tour, like I just kept thinking like, no, like I can do it, I can do it. Like I was good in the tour, like I'm like I can do Worlds. Like I had my flights booked, I like had all my vaccines, and I'm like, you know, I can do it. Like and then I went to Ardesh and I just like couldn't finish. Like I was like in the caravan like during the neutral so then I was like, okay, like I can't go to Worlds. Like it's just like not possible. So it was definitely a bit sad missing out, but I did feel like I feel like at that point like I knew that, you know, I did everything I could have done. I was seeing a physio. I tried to race like I tried to keep training, like, I felt like I had really done everything possible to try to go, and then it just wasn't possible to go. And then I think, I mean, to me, watching the race and seeing Magdalene win was just, yeah, a really like incredible, like positive, like it was just like so inspiring to see that it's possible. And I think to me, it was like a big source of like motivation of like, like this is, um, yeah, like, just like I just got to keep dreaming big, and it doesn't matter if like I'm on the couch injured, like I can come back and I can, still, yeah, just keep dreaming.
Yeah, you for sure can come back because Worlds this year are in Canada. So I guess that's a big goal to make the team there.
Yeah, definitely. I would really love to go to Worlds in Canada, I think. I'm sure every Canadian does, but I think it would be really special to go there, and also with the defending world champion is, yeah, even makes it better. So it's definitely a
Mhm.
big goal to go, but I think I'm just more focused on um doing what I can in the races that I have coming up, and if I get to go to Worlds, that's super amazing, but if I don't, then, it's a little bit out of my control, like, all I can do is,
Yeah,
brace my best, so
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. Let's now go over to some racing that would suit you less, I guess, with last week's racing. We had Scheldeprijs and we had Paris Roubaix. Let's just start with a quick review of Scheldeprijs. Sprint race, of course. We did have a break for a bit, but it was all rather under control. And then we had Charles de Gaulle finish it off before Veenhoven and Balsamo. Also was at that race, did a long time overdue cookie delivery to Mieke Dox. Has been like about half a year, so that was long overdue. Then we, of course, had some other She Rides guests. Also saw Ida Krikau post race, who was involved in one of the early crashes. And I asked her like, "Yeah, how is it going so far? How are you feeling?" And her exact words after the race were like, "Yeah, kind of okay. I just feel like cycling has been a bitch to me lately." Um, so that was it for the race experience. Let's just hope cycling will be less of a bitch to Ida in the
Yeah.
near future.
Yeah,
Um,
this is the race with, like, the big crash in the final as well, no?
yeah, it
Yeah.
already started like pre-coverage with quite some crashes, and then in the
Mhm.
final, I think we had two big crashes, and some looked really, really nasty with like riders staying like laying on the ground and stuff. So yeah, those looked horrible. And apart from that, I think it was sort of a classic sprint race, but we just went with like a very small bunch to the finale
Mhm.
because lots of riders crashed. For She Rides, we had Maggie Coles Lester sprinting to the 13th place.
I thought
If
she
you
had a
want to add,
crazy save. Did you see the video on her
yeah, that
Instagram?
was crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
so impressive.
yeah, she like went off the road and then she managed to stay upright and then she jumped back on the road. I was like watching it on my phone and I was like to my dad, "Oh my god, is that Maggie?" And then like
Yeah,
afterwards I saw it and I was like, "Oh, crazy." But most of all,
yeah,
good for her that she avoided the crash there because she's already crashed so much this season, like in Tour of Flanders. I think
yeah,
she crashed 2 times within 5 kilometers.
mhm,
So, well, what was good that she could avoid that one, but it was
yeah,
quite spectacular there indeed.
yeah, that was really impressive, but I feel like that race is just like, oh, there's been some, like, really hard crashes, like, in
Mm-hmm.
this classic season, so it's just never good to see races like that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We've had some nasties already with taking
Mhm,
out some big and smaller names, but
yeah,
yeah, those are not nice to see. It was also the only thing I remembered. I was there and I was like, shit, who won that race? I knew there were lots
mhm,
of crashes, but who actually did take it? But
yeah,
it still was an impressive win by Charles Cole. Was a good
yeah,
sprint.
definitely.
Um, so yeah, then over to Paris Roubaix. I was there, of course. I think you've heard in the last episode that I was not very amused by how they planned everything. Well, by then I didn't know yet that we would only get like 50K of coverage. So you can imagine that the days after I was not very amused. I was like on a family weekend, and after the first 2 hours we needed to ban the word fuck and fucking because I just used it too much while I was explaining to my less cycling minded friends why this was absolutely a big shame. Well, I can tell you by being at the race, my opinion definitely didn't change. I wouldn't say it became more extreme because I think I was already very outspoken before. It just it just showed what exactly I was thinking. So the start and then it was ridiculous. I went to Grand Prix Yvonne Reinders last year. There were more people for the start presentation than there were there. And I love Yvonne Reinders. By the way, super sad this year. The organizers can't afford to hold a race. I just read today, so that is super sad. Also shows the state of women's cycling again, unfortunately. But I mean, like, it's a super cool race. Atmosphere is good, but for people who have been there or who have raced it, there are not so many people there. For sure, not at the start. So then you have to imagine that we have a World Tour race, one of the, if not most spectacular races of the season. Like, they have to do it with that amount of crowd. I think there were like about 8 photographers. I think like every 3 people had a photographer or something. It was so ridiculous. Like there were like I was there and I was there 50 minutes beforehand. Normally I would have been earlier, but like lots of stuff with all route barrés and stuff like that. So I was there 50 minutes before the start and there was just no one. I was like, oh, is this here or am I wrong? And then it were like just 2 rows and then people were just following from the cafe there, which was just there. Yeah, it was rather disappointing. Already showed why it was a ridiculous decision to put it on Sunday. And yeah, the crowd in the Na also didn't improve much. Like in Flanders, you sometimes see that in the beginning it's quite bad, but then for like the bigger teams, some more people arrived. But here it was just like, yeah, no, okay. Um,
Yeah, that's
so
really too bad, like, and the race is just, I think, so exciting, and the level is,
yeah,
like, so high, so it's just such a shame that,
yeah,
this is how it worked out with the crowds and, like, the
yeah.
organizers and the coverage too of, like, the
Mhm.
TV. You know, I think there's, like, so much racing that goes on in the first part that's just missed, and, yeah, so many people who do, like, are so strong and do the job for the
Yeah,
team, and none of that's on TV, which is really a
yeah.
shame.
And you would think like Ferrand Prévot announced she would be racing. So something in me hope like
Yeah.
hopefully the Paulina effect can do something to the situation. But yeah. Then I went over to the Avenue sector. Haven't been there before, but I imagine there are quite some people normally on there. Yeah, that was also kind of sad. Yeah. There were not many people on it, and then there was another guy, another Flemish guy. Had to do my best to not say anything, but he came to us. Yeah, can I watch the men's race with you guys because my phone has low battery? And yeah, I wanted to go to another sector for the men's, but yeah, they just locked us up here. So, I will stay for the women anyway. And I was like, okay, I won't say anything on this matter because I don't know if I can, if I can keep my poker face. But yeah, that shows it. Like you had those very few people who were like there and were like motivated to watch the women's race as well. Then you had like literally people who were isolated and couldn't go anywhere. And then yeah, you had me just coming there for for the women only. Um, so yeah, we had Rosa Kleuser also in the break, but yeah, who saw it because she was scaled back before the coverage even started. But was a good effort from her. And then I went to the velodrome, which is always very filled. on Saturday, also because you have like the like the amateur race going on the day before normally when the women race, and like the, those cyclists are still there in the velodrome most of the time, like they are watching the fun, and it's always so filled, like the atmosphere is good. And this year I was there with less than 40K to go, and I could just go like go to a front row spot on the first and like the second rows. Was like okay, such a great decision, really. So yeah, it was yeah, it was quite disappointing. If you look at it in the crowds ways, and Aizu had some good numbers in France with like the coverage. So what are the odds that they will change anything? Probably not much. Aizu doesn't care anyway, so they will just keep it like this probably. But like, if you would have actually been there, you would have seen how disappointing it was and how not worthy of a world tour race like the experience felt. So I think that's super sad because it was a very big race. The participants list was good. We had some true champions on there, and then to just treat it like as a secondary was just, for me, who has seen women's cycling grow so much, it was just a huge disappointment. And then I think it's quite ridiculous if you're the ASO and you do like the Tour de France Femmes, and there you're like, oh, women's cycling is so important to us. We want to be a part. We want to make it grow. And then you you make such a bullshit decision. And then I find it hard to take them seriously when they start there. Oh, but we think when cycling is so important to talk. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really such a shame to hear about the crowds in that race, and yeah, I mean, hopefully next year they can do better with that.
Mhm. The best thing would still be to move it back to Saturday, but
Yeah, I agree. I'd agree for sure that yeah, I think on Sunday was just, yeah, not good.
no, I think it was Alison Jackson who said it in an interview. She said like, yeah, it felt like we just had leftover crowd, and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, basically, you're completely right, Alison. It was
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's, like, pretty sad, for riders to be feeling like that and, like, such a big race, and I think, yeah, Paris Roubaix is, like, a race that I know, again, the peloton is known for, like, the crowds and for the atmosphere, so I think to not necessarily
Mhm.
have that, like, live up to expectations would just be super disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I've been saying all along. Like for me, Paris-Roubaix, like the Women's Day was for me one of the most amusable races to go to, because like the people there, and there are quite a few people there, they are really there for the race. They are super enthusiastic about the women's race. It's such a nice atmosphere because everyone is really there for that race. And now there are less people, and the people who are there aren't even that excited to be there. So yeah, it's a bit of a shit decision. And Aizo also should have seen that women's cycling, when it stands on its own, does perfect, because for who has been at the Tour de France some, I have never seen so big crowds for women's racing. So yeah, it's just a shame that they changed it for the money mainly. Um
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Last year I did the tour and it's the crowds were like absolutely incredible for 9 days straight. So I'm sure for
mhm.
like one day, there could be pretty impressive turnout if it was just a standalone women's race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Roubaix also sort of needs a standalone, because that's a race really everyone who watches cycling wants to see from the
Mhm.
start to the finish. Like if you have San Remo or something, yeah, it's not like you mind skipping 100 kilometers of the men's race or something, but like, yeah, in Roubaix you just miss such a big part of the story. It's just sad to see.
Yeah, definitely.
But luckily, and the coverage was there, we did have some exciting racing. Uh, it was kind of strange though. So we had like quite a small group. Also, just when the live coverage started off, we had a horrible crash there. We had Asabud, like the young rider who has been doing some very good results in the smaller races. She broke her jaw, her elbow, and she had like a small bleed in her brain, which is crazy. I think we all hope she's doing well. But there were some other riders involved again, like AG Insurance. They are just not escaping from it this year. They had
Yeah.
Cheryl said they're involved as well. It's just crazy to me. Like every time they like announce, okay, those two leaders are gonna lead for us today, then they either
Yeah.
crash out, get ill, or have bad luck. Exact same thing happened again. So like it has been some of a shit spring so far for
Yeah.
AG.
Yeah, definitely.
Hopefully with the Vuelta coming up soon they can turn it around a bit more. Um so that was quite shit to see. But then we had like it was like a weird moment. Why did like you had Ferrand-Prévot and Vos going, Koch was following, Vos as well. And then like all the other riders from the other teams were like, why would we try to get back to two Vismas? What a rider who's been on fire the whole season already, and an SD Works rider. Like, why would we do that? And then they had like quite a big gap, and then it was like, okay, yeah,
Yeah, I
that
did
was it,
think,
I
like
guess.
yeah. I do feel like, at least, like, yeah, from, like, on TV, like, the way the attack went, like, I was kinda like it looks like it's just, like, an early break, like, they just rolled off. Like, I guess, the
Yeah,
race, I'm sure is, like, so hard that, like, everyone's probably, like, so on the
yeah,
limit, but, I think I agree,
yeah.
like, the clip, like, it's just like, "Why are they letting this go?"
Yeah, that was
But
exactly what it looked like. And also I can explain, but like Ferrand-Prévot always has this like style, like on the flat, she makes it feel like she's just like easily paddling. And then it looks like what
mhm.
like come on guys.
I
This
think
is
it's, like,
like
the cadence, like, she just, like, pushes a big
yeah.
gear so it doesn't look so hard.
Yeah. But like I would yeah, I already like my old Kopecky fan in me was like, okay, fuck. This is it
Yeah.
then. Let's go.
Yeah.
But then I was like, Little Trek was still there, and UE, okay, they were still there. They were with four, but they had Gillespie in there, and they were still there. So I didn't see like everyone was just like I think they were looking like at SD Works, but I was like, I mean, they have a rider in the front, so they are also not gonna
Yeah.
start. So it felt like everyone was waiting for SD Works to start pacing, but at that point Voss was still there. Um,
Yeah.
so
But
yeah.
I also think that, like, when a move like that goes, it's like, that it's just, like, everyone is, like, so on the limit, so
Mhm.
I think just, the fact that that move even went and people couldn't respond, it's probably
Yeah.
there's not enough to, like, bring it back, like, obviously, I'm sure it's been a super hard race, like,
Yeah.
from the start, so,
Mhm. But that's the thing
that's,
when
like
you
that's
don't
how I
see it.
interpreted it. I was like, "Oh, this looks like this must be really hard, like, for this to just
Yeah.
go like that."
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. But that's just the thing when the coverage is so limited, you just
Yeah,
don't know what has been going on before. Um,
that's true.
yeah. But then, yeah, we saw Vos dropping, and it was also like we had Vos dropping with Ferrand-Prévot in the wheel, and then just to make it even worse for Vos, Ferrand-Prévot jumped out of the wheel and could bridge it to the front. I think if you're in that position, and you
Yeah,
still have like Kopecky and Vidas behind you, you're like, oh, fuck.
yeah,
um, yeah, and then it was also like for as they were, I do feel like they maybe waited a little bit too long to really start pacing because 2 minutes the chance that
yeah,
you're
I
gonna get
agree.
back to Ferrand-Prévot, Vos and Koch is quite
Yeah,
small. Yeah, and then which is like kind of the story of the spring that like Wiebes is also really trying to work for the others to make the others win, which is something I personally really love to see.
mhm,
I always love like the teamwork, so that was good. But yeah, it was just a little too late.
yeah,
And then we
yeah.
had,
I
of
mean, Weebus
course,
has really been such an exciting rider for me this in the spring. I mean, she always is, but I think this year even more so, so
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice to see other riders, like, on SD Works, like, getting the chance to go for it,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true, that's true. Then we had the attack of Lotte Kopecky. Chestrap was following. Brandt was almost following, but then she crashed due to, yeah, it was a bit of a mix. Was it the spectator? And then Brandt was also riding very close to the edge. So it
Yeah.
was like a mix in between. So she crashed out there. Luckily, she's fine. It looked quite horrible, but
Mhm.
she's doing all right. Yeah, at one point they came closer and I was like, okay, so now I need to work out a scenario. How are we gonna do that? And then it just went up again. So um yeah. And then of course we have the thing that it was quite obvious from the beginning that Ferrand Prévot was working for Vos. I think she also mentioned it in the pre or post race interview. She said like when I heard Marianne's father passed, I called the team to be racing here and to help Marianne take the win. So in one way you're like, maybe you should have tried to race differently and try to attack, and Marianne could have still won it. But in the other way, it has been such an emotional week for Marianne, and you just can't like, or at least I can be like, the tactics sucked. That was like, yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
kind
I
of
think in the
understand
final
why you did this.
Pauline did try to attack, no? Like, I think, um I mean, yeah, there's this I think she did at some point,
Hmm.
but I think it was just, Franzi just got on it, like, she was just so strong,
Yeah,
so, um,
the
yeah,
win was also coming for Koch. Like
yeah,
it was not gonna take so long anymore before she could get the win. And then
yeah,
yeah, it was also still so close. And then like before I was like talking with the family, I was like, yeah, okay, Vos can miss out on this. And then like the 2K before, I was like, yeah, but what if imagine this happens? And like in every other scenario at every other race, you would be so cool for Koch, but like Marianne, the weeks she's had, like also I don't know
yeah,
if you saw the footage of Visma, like during her pre-race interview, she had like a little bee on her shoulder,
mhm.
which was
Yeah, I
also
saw
like
that, yeah,
pre-race. I was like, oh my god, this is, and then yeah, also like the images after the finish where she was crying so bad. It
yeah,
was so heartbreaking to see. But I think that's also like the thing about cycling that makes it so special. Like on the one side, you're like, oh my god, the domestique did it. Who's like domestiquing in
mhm,
all the other races. She took it. No one expected her to actually do it. And then on the other side, you're, oh damn, I'm so sad she can take this one.
yeah,
So it was such a
yeah.
double sprint there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's always like yeah, it's like there's always like I feel like in cycling it's like there's so much disappointment like for, so many people like in that race is like yeah, there's always so much disappointment, but um I mean to me it was like I was pretty excited to yeah, to see the finish even though with the week that Voss had it's
Hmm.
not not ideal for her, but I think just the sprint was super exciting to watch, so
Yeah, for sure. Well, then she writes, Cat Ferguson had food poisoning, so not the ideal combination to start in Roubaix, I would say.
yeah, no.
Maggie and Auke both made it to Paris Roubaix, but that out of time limit killed it for them.
Mm,
It's always Roubaix. It's always when you see the OTL coming up. I'm like,
yeah,
come on, isn't this race epic enough to just ignore the OTL here?
yeah. But it's nice that they seem to not pull people in Roubaix, like, that they let people finish. 'Cause I know
Hmm.
some races, like, it's like as soon as you're, like, outside of the caravan, it's like you're done, which I think in these kind of one-day races, it's super
Hmm.
nice for everyone just to finish even if it's
Yeah.
OTL.
Yeah, exactly. That's a surprising amount of sprinters still in the top 10 as well, with Wiebes on 6, Cole, who's been absolutely on fire this spring, on 7, and Gillespie on 8. So quite impressive. Like all the UE riders, they started with 4, all ended in the top 20, which is quite a cool performance of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was mainly it about the race. Um, Unless you want to add something. I don't know if you have some Liv-AlUla things to add.
I don't know, I didn't chat with anyone about it. I know the team is like the classics team has, had a bit of bad luck, so, um, yeah, I think some of the girls
Mm-hmm.
are maybe a little bit beat up at this point, but
Yeah,
I
there
don't know
was
anything
also
specific
like,
about Paris Roubaix.
mm-hmm. It was also like seeing the UE team getting on the stage. They already only started with 4, and like the 4 of them were all covered completely in K tape. So
Yeah,
that was also like, you were like, oh my god, and now
yeah,
you still have to start Roubaix. So that was
yeah.
quite an
Yeah, I
image.
think those classics races, like, I think, oh, they just seem like brutal, like to, yeah, do so many of them and like make it out to the end of through the classic season. I'm
Mhm.
definitely I really admire everyone who does those races, but I'm glad that I don't have to.
That's an opinion we haven't heard a lot before, but I think it's valid if you see how some of them leave these races.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that's enough for Roubaix. Let's just take a look at the state of the sport. So we've talked, of course, a lot about the coverage and now this weekend how it was treated like a secondary. But like when you take a step back and then you look at where women's cycling is right now, how do you feel about the direction it's heading?
Yeah, I think to me it seems like at the top of the sport, which I think a lot of people say, it's like everything seems like super positive and like I think the resources that some teams have are just like are really incredible, like is like um I guess compared to like previous resources. But I do think that like the stability of the sport like from the bottom is just like something that really needs to be um, yeah, thought about a bit more and I guess there needs to be a solution because I think so many of the smaller teams like folded last season and there's just so many really really strong riders without contracts and um yeah, so I think that that's, like, not great, and then also just yeah, the paths, like, similar to what I said, like, the paths to making it to the world tour, it feels like it's getting, like, harder and there's fewer paths, and then, um, coming from a team like Winspace, like, I felt super lucky to, like, have a salary and to have equipment and everything I need and travel, and I think, um but I could see that it's really hard for a team like that with the budget they have to yeah, like, to make it work and, it ends up being a smaller roster for a lot of these pro teams, with, like, budget problems, and even then, like, there's not so many pro teams, it's, like, 5 or I don't know how many, um, but, yeah, so I think definitely, like, the lower like, everything other than, like, the top world tour teams is, yeah, something that is, I don't know. I think there needs to be a solution in there somewhere. And I think one idea that a teammate of mine brought up, which I think would be as good as finding ways to like incentivize development teams, which I think would create like a super good pathway. And I know there's like I think UAE, AG, and Jayco has it. And I did a race with the development team and it's yeah, like super well supported and it seems like a really great step to take before going to the world tour and to give people the opportunity. So I think just maybe finding ways to incentivize that could be an a good way, and maybe one way would be allowing, development riders to do one world tour race, which then would create a bit of incentive for teams to have a development team, but maybe if it's limited to one just so that the riders can't be, um,
Mhm.
over-raced, and yeah, my teammate had this idea, and I think maybe something like that would really be positive for the sport to kinda create more opportunities, kinda, like, from the top end.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a super interesting idea. Haven't heard that before, but that sounds like a very good idea, actually. Are there some other fundamental changes that need to be made according to you?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, like I also haven't been in the sport for so long, so I think
Mhm.
it's hard for me to have, like, I don't have so much to go of,
Mhm.
like, how things have been changing, like, especially to racing in Europe, I'm really new, but, um, yeah, it seems like, you know, um there's like, I know in Spain, like, the Spanish Cup, or I think that's what it's called, like,
Mhm.
they have, like, 150 starters at every race, which is, like, insane, and it's like, wow, these people are, like, traveling to races and, there's like, this isn't the women's race, like, there's so many women racing, but then there are some, like, Spanish UCI races that, started with, like, really few teams, like, earlier in the season, um so I think maybe finding ways to just, like, bring the opportunity to do these bigger races, to more riders and giving riders the opportunity to go to these
Mhm.
races where they can show themselves with the big teams, I think that would really be great for the sport, 'cause I
Mhm.
I think it can really be hard to find the opportunities, when you're not
Yeah.
already at the top level.
Yeah, for sure. It's also quite difficult with, of course, like the UCI brought like the rule of no country teams anymore allowed in the World Tour. Although in reality, we've seen that, for example, Flanders Classics tries in the Belgian races to get in like two country teams, like the Belgian country teams. We have one for Amstel as well, and RCS just is like this rule. I didn't know it exists, and they just announced their lineup for the Giro with five country teams. Um, so it's like a double like. At one point, you're like, okay, this is good because the sport wasn't ready to just have World Tour and Pro teams in there because like the load is way too heavy. But on the other side, you're like, what for sort of shit rule is this where everyone just goes like, ha, we're not doing this? So it's kind of a weird situation there. It's like a rule that just like some races accept it and the others are like, ah, no, you prefer to give some
Yeah.
other riders a chance, which is good, but it's still like a weird vibe for me.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I understand, like, where the rule would be coming from, but I just think that there's not enough, like, big teams, like, there's not enough, like, pro teams to have this rule in place,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of, like, really, really good riders, like, on Conti teams and on club teams, and I think, um, yeah, just having, like, being able to, like, start a race with, like, a full, like, roster of teams, even though for me, like, being in the race, like, fewer teams, like, pretty nice, but, um I think just, like, in terms of, like, having, like, opportunities and, I know that, I guess the way that I came through cycling, like, up through cycling is, like, there's it feels like there's really not so many opportunities always, and that when you're on a smaller team and when you're paying your own way for a lot of stuff, it's just yeah, there's not so many chances, and, I think there needs to be, like, maximized, like, giving opportunities and, like, seeing the talent and, even
Mm-hmm.
if not everyone makes it to the world tour, it's still part of the sport is just to see what you can do, and it's motivating to do these big races, and, yeah, to me, the rule doesn't make any sense at this point in women's cycling.
Yeah, no, that was the first thing already. Like, why now? This
Yeah.
this doesn't make any sense. And now, like, I think they felt in some way that in reality the rule is just fucked up, and the peloton is not ready for this. And then they are like just allowing the exceptions, I think, which
Yeah.
I'm not mad about. But like, maybe they should have thought and like gotten into discussions with like actually people from within the sport first before
Yeah, I
deciding it.
agree.
Just as the thing with
Definitely.
the handlebars, maybe talk to the
Mhm.
cyclists and the people in the sport before deciding
Yeah.
on something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think, um yeah, I think there seems to be a lot of, like, UCI decisions that kinda happen like that.
Well, so yeah, let's now get onto some more racing because we have Brabantse and Amstel coming up. You can imagine I jumped like quite of a gap in the air when I saw that Lotte Kopecky added a race to the schedule, so that's nice. Further on, we have like an incredibly nice She Rides filled start list. We have Paula Blasi, super exciting to see her racing in Belgium. Misha Bredold for She Rides is also racing. We have Perikitko. There also is Mieke Dox. There is Sonara Grove, Emily Forta, and the one and only Connie Hayes, sometimes our extra co-host joining us. And now she's doing the Brabantse Pijl. I think her first pro Brabantse Pijl. So super nice to see her in the peloton. Apart from that, it's like a stacked race, but it's like not all the best riders in the world stacked. It's also hard if Longo Borghini still isn't recovered from illness. We had, of course, Reusser and the Koer who crashed out. I remember and what was it? Before Tour of Flanders, Dwars door Vlaanderen, I was talking with someone of Flanders Classics and they were like, oh, Brabantse Pijl, it's looking so good for the women's race this year. Participants list is so good. And then, yeah, you have a couple crashing out and then you have one who hasn't recovered from illness. And then it's, yeah, you don't have the names they've hoped for, but still, it could still be a super exciting race. I think we have Valjeras, who's back in Belgium, Faulkner as well, Justine Jacquire, she's starting her spring campaign here, Ashley Moolman, Alvarado back from cyclocross, just as Casasola and Castellan as well. We have our Paris Roubaix winner with Franziska Koch. She's bringing Géry, which is excited to see what she can do. Just as basically the whole team with Kraak, Muziek, Raye and Jou. Then we have Margot van Pachtenbeek. I forgot to mention her, but she's also racing for She Rides. They also have Bauron Fight, Fleur Moors, who's been on fire, and others. For Liv-AlUla, they have Paternoster, Appleton, Copeland, Talbot, Vitilo, and Wiley. As he works, so is bringing Lotte Kopecky, Misha Bredold, and Anna van der Breggen. So quite a strong team there as well. Who do we have? Gasparini, also quite good. Yeah, the whole UE team. They have Persico, Swinkels, and Vlodarczyk as well. So that's quite a scary team for the others. X for the moment, just with the 4 of them. We just need to see if someone gets at it or not. With Gaskian, Gertsen, Körner, and Koster. Then some other, that are the most exciting names. We have quite some Conti teams racing as well, which is good to see. So what are you expecting from Brabantse Pijl? You're expecting like a group sprinting for the win, a solo, an expected solo, an unexpected winner? Tell me.
Mm, well, I mean, I think I really do think that with the start list, it's gonna really be an aggressive race. Like, for sure, like, there's, so many teams are, um yeah, bringing, like, really strong climbers, but I think my prediction is maybe a sprint of a small group.
One by?
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, maybe Kopecky is maybe that's my pick. I
Like
think
that
she
answer.
definitely,
Yeah.
yeah, suits this
Good
course.
answer. Sarah approved.
Yeah.
Yeah, she hasn't raced it much before, but the last time she raced it, she was fourth. So should fit her. Maybe not fourth this time. We had it 2 weeks in a row, and I vote for a not fourth place. Uh, so yeah, maybe we can just like hand out our stars. Do you want to start, or do
Mhm.
I need to start? You can choose.
Um, so how do I start with, like, can you explain the stars?
So
Like, do I say,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
2
yeah, yeah.
stars, 3?
So
Okay. So how many for each one?
Yeah, so 3 stars. Get one rider gets 3 stars. Then we have 2 stars for 2 riders, and we have 1 star for 3 riders, and then just a wild card.
Okay. So I think for me, Kopecky, I think, yeah, I guess 3 stars. And then 2 stars, Koch and um um hmm. Maybe Magdalene. Maybe I'll give her 2 stars because I know she's really good on these punchy climbs, so maybe that's a potential solo. Um, then 3 stars, um, Letizia Paternoster, my teammate. I think this maybe I'll give her 2 stars actually. I think that this race really suits her, and she's been climbing super well. And then okay, so I'll switch her, 2 stars, and then Magdalene, and then 1 star, sorry, like, in my head.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um,
Yeah.
okay, so now 1 star, Magdalene, um, who else? Swinkles, maybe? And, need to, like, not forget someone, and Bredewald. And then the wild card, um, Mackenzie Coupland, my teammate, she's so strong, so maybe a breakthrough race for her.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, 3 stars are gonna be Lotte Kopecky. 2 stars gonna be Swinkles, and let's do Van der Breggen. And then 1 star for Paula Blasi, Vlodarczyk, and Koch. And then my wild card is gonna be Celia Jury. Yeah.
It's a good one.
So yeah, I think it can be like yeah, thanks. I think like we have Lotte Kopecky, who's been like up front for like most of the races this season so far, and then we have Koch, who's also been very good, and then the other riders are also good. We also have some new riders coming in, and then we have some who have been there all along. Just actually I wanted to put Yakira somewhere in there as well. Yeah, let me switch out Vlodarczyk for Yakira just for the bias vibes. Would be nice. Also, yeah, excited what Yakira can do. Hopefully something good for age insurance coming now up with the
Yeah,
Ardennes. It's just
definitely.
it's such a nice team, and to then see them just having the most bad luck anyone can imagine is so shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, excited to see what the plan of Little Trek is. They have more, so could be something for
Oh,
her.
true,
But
yeah.
yeah, she should should have been somewhere in there as well. But we just have a
Yeah,
limited
definitely. Oh,
amount
if it comes
of
down to, like,
space.
a sprint and she's
Uh,
in there. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Also want to see if Margot gets like a free role. We still remember her being there in that when she was still racing for when it was, I think it was even Park Hotel then. It wasn't Volkers Wessels yet. And then she was just out of nowhere there racing with the favorites. Her breakthrough there. So it would be cool if she gets a free role and can do something there.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I think like FDG is again like with Celia Jury. She's also been riding so strong. And then the whole UE squad is just to be scared of. I think if like they match and they
Mhm.
have a true plan and they like do the plan as it's planned and they use their numbers, they could definitely do something good there. So yeah, excited to see how it's gonna go. It's always Brabantse Pijl is always like this weird mix of still some classics riders and then already their dance riding coming, but not all of them. So it's like this weird mix. You
Mhm.
have to wait and see for what's gonna happen in the end. So yeah,
Yeah.
Gasparini should have also been there in the start. stars, I feel like. But anyways,
Yeah, there's too many.
yeah, let's
I think
maybe
with these
go.
kind of races, it's like
Yeah.
hard to pick favorites because there's also like I feel like the
Yeah.
climbers are really strong, so it's like, but then also like the sprinters, like it's just like it feels like everyone is like a good option. It's like impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe Amstel is a bit more obvious of who's gonna
Yeah, it is.
yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like the stronger climbers are gonna be able to get away there, so let's maybe see who they are. Of course, we have last year's winner, Misha Bredewold. We didn't see that one coming, but that was quite an epic win. For SD Works, they have Van der Breggen as well, and Wiebes. It has been a big goal of her. The Amstel, I'm still like waiting on how this will go. I'm like since the beginning when this was announced, I was like, and how are you exactly gonna do that? But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I
Oh,
guess
I
this
think it's
weekend.
so possible. Like,
Yeah,
did you see like she's been like she what was the race? I forget. They're all like the names, but she was
yeah,
the one
yeah.
who was like
In
attacking on the
Flanders.
climbs. Like,
Yeah, but then you did have in Flanders, you had the Koppenberg, where she
yeah,
was like in 5th position, and then she went to like 25th till the
yeah.
end. So I see her following, but I don't see her being able to follow an attack of Vollering up on the Kaalberg.
But it's like
I
a 1 minute climb. Like, I think that kind of like
yeah.
I feel like if she's like so strong, like I think it's maybe up her alley.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm still a bit skeptic, but like if one sprinter can do it, it's obviously gonna be Lorena.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I see her fall. But then like the final cover, I don't know if I see her surviving that one, making it in time to the finish to then sprint it. Yeah, I'm not so sure, but we'll see this weekend.
Yeah.
Um, for little track, there is Fisher Black, Van Anrooy, Marcus, Moors again. Buck Petersen is there as well, and she rides one in support with Lotte Klaas. Also good to see her doing some Ardennes racing. For AG, they are coming with Moolman, Benito Gekire. Nivea Doma should also be back racing, so always nice racing when Nivea Doma is around. So that's good to see. Valjeres again, Faulkner, Kerbal, Ruek, Vollering as mentioned. She has Koch, so yeah, when you have that duo add Berthe, Chabet to it, then good luck to the other teams, I would say. Talita de Jong is racing. Also, watch out. I'm already mentioning my wild card, but watch out for Nina Buisman. Has been doing some impressive racing in the early season, so exciting what she'll be able to do here. Liv-AlUla, for the moment, 5 riders on the schedule. With Paternoster, Smulders, Ton, Trinka Colonel, and Wiley. Movistar has Lippert and Ferguson. No break yet for Kat. She can add another one to the racing schedule. We have 5 for Georgie racing. Marianne Vos also would be up for that. Like Marianne, she still deserves a win
Yeah.
this classic season for me. Paula Blasi, for the moment with the number 1 of the team. She wasn't racing before, but always nice to see Paula racing. And then we have Sigrid Haagseth. Oh, also one to keep an eye on and make my possible wild card. She's been doing so well. I don't know if you watched. We had like the Spanish races where she was like 4th, and she could follow
Yeah.
Persico and stuff.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course, last year
So
at
strong.
Euros, she was also so strong and the World's TT. So, yeah, could be the breakthrough year for Sigrid. Would also be cool. Perikitko is doing it as well. Alison Jackson is also not done yet. Eline Janssen for outsider maybe. And that's it for the racing. So, do you think Wiebes is gonna win, or do you believe it could be a possibility, or what are your expectations for the racing scenario?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's a possibility. Like, I don't know, I kind of am like,
Mhm.
maybe it's, like, a good possibility just because she seems so strong, but I don't know if I would quite pick her as my favorite, um, with, like,
Mhm.
seeing just, like, the amount of climbers on the start list. I think teams are really gonna do what they can to make it a really hard race.
Yeah, exactly. That's also
Mhm.
what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I would love to see
Should I
actually
do
the
the
scenario we
stars?
had last year, but
Mm.
well, yeah, we can do that for sure. But I would love
Oh,
to
yeah,
have
yeah.
like the same
Yeah, I would
scenario
love to
as we
see,
did
like, a
last year.
breakaway.
Like,
Mhm.
yeah, but like most of the time we see when that happened in a race the year before, most of the time the other riders are so aware to not let it happen again. So possibility
Yeah.
not super big, but like if we watch at the She Rides riders at the start, I'm like, I'm up for it. Like, let's do a big break
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, we can absolutely do the stars. Do you want to kick them off again?
Sure. I'll do 3 stars for Demi, and
Mhm.
then 2 stars, um, I'll do Weavis and, Puck. And then 1 star,
Nice.
I'll do, Paternoster, um, Cassia, and Bredevald.
Mhm.
Oh, and then a
And wild
wild
cards.
card, maybe Cat?
Nice. I'm gonna go 3 stars for Vollering, 2 stars for Pieterse, and let's say Lippert.
That's a good one.
1 star, let's say Nijadoma, Shabbe, and Swinkles. And then my wild card is gonna be Secret Hogshead. Yeah. Think we will get the 2 both exciting races, although the live coverage isn't looking too good with although Brabantse has I think 2 hours and Amstel has about an hour of live coverage or something, which is
Yeah.
quite mid. But normally
Yeah,
we
for a
should get
race like
more.
Amstel is, like,
Yeah.
crazy to miss
But
so
last year
much.
we had like 30 something kilometers. So this year it should at least be a little bit better than that.
Yeah.
Always look at the bright side or something. Okay, let's close off the previewing here. Just gonna give you some this or that's. Do you prefer an early morning ride or a late evening ride?
Early morning.
Gravel or cobbles?
Uh,
Neither.
neither. Yeah.
um, Liège or Flesh?
Mm, I think Liège.
Nerves before a race or very chill before the race?
Nerves.
Mm-hmm. Do you prefer a time trial or like criterion type of racing?
Time trial.
What do you think is more important? More race coverage or more storytelling about the less big names?
Mm, it's hard to say because I feel like they kinda go a bit hand in hand where the race
Mm-hmm.
coverage is kinda the storytelling about the less big names in a way, but, I think I think the race coverage, I think it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, what the sport's about is racing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I think not a very difficult question for you. Grand Tours or a Classics campaign?
Grand Tours.
Yeah. Okay, then some last a couple of questions before we round this episode up. How would you rate your season so far, 1 to 10?
Uh, it's hard to even rate it 'cause it feels like it's just been, like, a bit of a bonus, like,
Mm-hmm. Or let's do a different kind of questions. What do you need to happen this season to get a rating close to the 10?
um I think for me, just, being able to, like, be in the race at the big races and, race in the finals would, yeah, make it a 10 out of 10.
Hmm. Nice. What's your favorite race you've ridden so far?
The Tour.
What are the biggest goal for the season?
Um, I think, probably the Giro.
Nice. Is there one thing you wish you'd known before you turned professional cyclist?
Mm, Let me think. I need a good answer. I don't know, I just think, yeah, like, I it's like knowing I don't know, knowing that it's, like, an option. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I didn't even know that it was, like, an
Yeah.
option to, like, live this life, and now, like, it kinda, like, happened, and I'm like, "Wow, this is incredible."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice. And then one more to round this episode up. How do you want people to know you within 5 years?
Mm, I mean, I think to me it's, um, always more important to be known as a nice person and a good teammate than any kinda result, so I think, um, yeah, just, being known as, yeah, like, a hard worker and a good,
Mm-hmm.
nice person.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's nice. Thank you so much for being here today. I wish you lots of good luck with your official season start with Flash, which is next week, actually, and with everything after that. So that's a wrap for today's episode of She Writes. Huge thanks to Nadia for sharing her story today. Hope you enjoyed the ride. Make sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or YouTube so you never miss an episode. And if you liked today's show, a rating, like, or comment really helps us reach more listeners. Follow us on Blue Sky and Instagram for behind the scenes updates and more. Don't forget to check out our other episodes. There's something for everyone. If you've got any questions or topics you'd love us to cover, don't hesitate to She Writes. And She Writes is powered by KDM Endurance Coaching. Thanks for listening to She Writes, a podcast where women's cycling takes the lead. Keep watching the fun, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.